People rave about your videos. It may be just the dozen or so colleagues of ours that care, but we have had good feedback.
Really?
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me that. I appreciate that. Really? Are you ready?
Not really. Let's do it.
No.
Can I tell you something fun that happened to me today?
Yeah.
So I almost always carpool. I think today might have been my first time with no one. I have like 8 traffic lights that I go through between my house and the highway.
We have one in Orange County.
They were all green.
Oh!
Great.
Yeah.
It's been that
So
kind
by
of
the time I got the highway, I was like, okay.
We're feeling blessed. We got lots of good stuff going on here. It's been a really good morning.
We get next week off in the legislature, and it is.
Can I tell you what happened to me this morning?
Yeah. Did you play ball?
I played ball this morning. Missed my first shot.
Yeah.
Pete kept yelling at me to shoot.
Yeah.
I don't think I missed after that.
Really?
Up the whole morning.
Really?
It was like
Nice.
all the lights
On
were
fire.
green.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. On that note, let's talk about town meeting. But
right.
by the way, people, you've started to get to know us if you watch this at all around climate issues, but we have to deal with a whole host of issues all the time.
Oh,
and this week,
my God. Yeah.
Sarah's committee was driving the cannabis bill through the House. Congrats.
It has passed the House now with 90 votes, which is very
great.
solid.
We overrode the governor's veto. You guys
Minimum
finished
wage.
that up.
Yeah.
Boom. That's, if you support that issue,
Little
which
pieces of helping
does
people
have,
out.
I would argue, an impact on climate when you lift more people out of poverty.
Yep.
Busy
Good week.
time.
Good week.
Yeah. Town meeting next week.
So town meetings starting Saturday. Lots of towns have Saturday meetings. Some have Monday evening meetings, Tuesday evening. And we thought it would be important to talk to you a little bit about how to engage with your state representative or your senator if you see them at town meeting. Because those conversations are really impactful, particularly if you're hearing the same things from more than one person. Now, some town meetings will let you speak. I don't know, as a senator, do you get to speak at any of your town meetings?
Shelburne has a thing sort of the evening before, and then a few of them, Underhill lets us interrupt for 5 minutes, say hi. Yeah. And in many cases, people can ask questions. So that's, right. It's great to talk to your legislator no matter what, on the side or whatever. If you get to ask them a question up in front of everybody,
right,
and sort of say, "Are you on board with climate?"
What is your most important climate priority, or will you support the renewable energy bill and the Global Warming Solutions Act?
Yeah.
So
it really does help. Legislators we're in our small communities, very close to voters, and it's not that you want to corner legislators. I mean, maybe you do, but it's also just that we hear it as like, oh, people want me to do this.
This is what people care about. It causes us to pay close attention when our voters are coming up to us and saying, this is important to me. So don't hesitate to raise your hand if your rep or senator is taking questions from the floor. And also, don't hesitate to follow them out, because I don't know about you, but when I finish speaking at a town meeting, I usually hang out in the back for a little while, just in case anybody was too shy to ask a question from the floor, or, if there are other things people want to talk about. So, don't hesitate to engage in any way that you can. And of course, we want you to continue to reach out to the governor, because we need his collaboration and participation in the legislative process so that we can get these bills all the way across the line.
I think of it in this kind of simple way. Legislators work for you, right? We literally, that is how this whole thing goes.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be here sitting next to him every Friday morning.
Oh, boy. No, it's a joy.
It's a joy.
Don't kid yourself. So the renewable energy bill.
Yeah.
S267, that's still in my committee. It's been a fascinating discussion where everybody agrees we'll get to 100% renewables by 2030, a little further, all the way to 100%, and a little faster than the prior standard. The rest of it has been tricky. We get utilities come in, tell us big numbers, and they sort of, I think they like to control.
They say, we want to be able to say where these renewables are.
And our system sort of says, no, people have the right to develop solar and renewable projects.
Whoever wants to develop solar,
yeah,
I think we ought to get more of it.
But one of the things I would argue we have not done well, and it's really surfaced in this discussion, is grid optimization.
Yeah.
So we
Right.
have net metering, and
Right.
most people are familiar with that. That you can put on your house. That's straightforward, right?
But our grid is really set up for that heavy load that used to come out of Vermont Yankee, right? So that's
yeah.
where the high
And
transmission
other
lines
places out of
Yeah.
state to
Yeah.
drive in. And so if you just say what we're trying to say is 20% of the energy should be small projects in state, where you build them
Mhm.
has an enormous impact on whether or not it's cost effective.
It also has an impact on those communities too, and we need to make sure
That's
that
right.
there's good input.
And it has an impact on grid resilience. So we're starting to recognize that we really need to have a better process for signaling to developers, hey, could you build something here? Could you build something down in Vernon where Vermont Yankee was?
Mhm.
We have loads of
Use-
infrastructure there.
Use that infrastructure to
And
move
so now you're just talking about this cost of solar or whatever installment you're putting. So we're going to move this bill. It's been a fascinating education for me and for my committee. It'll clearly have 100% renewable. And then we're trying to figure out how much in state we can mandate, how much we're going to push and say, well, maybe before we do that, we got to really deal with grid optimization and resilience in the grid for sort of the smart approach to the future.
So over the last couple of years, we've really seen the pace of solar development in particular kind of grinding down to a much slower pace. And that's been kind of troubling for these industries that provide great jobs and are helping us with our energy independence. So do you think that this is going to jumpstart?
Well,
is it enough of a signal, you think, to jumpstart a build out of more solar?
I mean, these things have cycles, right? We had an explosion. I don't think we can expect that it's just going to continue to climb, but we have been losing solar jobs, and that is a problem. These are good paying jobs, and you can't outsource them to Mexico, right? You've got to have a local person installing your solar. So I do think it's about renewables, it's about local jobs, it's about controlling our own energy, and it's about our own grid being resilient, being strong, and able to handle more distributed energy. So we're getting there. We're not going to get all the way there, but S267 is alive and well. And it occurs to me, you and I went around the state, met a lot of folks this fall. We talked about 4 or 5 priorities. They're all actually moving. It's nerve-wracking, right? We think TCI we will see surface the week after we get back. The legislation's on break next week. You get a break from us.
Yeah.
We get a break from everything. I really need it. I'm so tired.
But you'll also see all your legislators in your communities, and so make sure that you reach out to them. Even if it's not town meeting, you can say, hey, when are you having a coffee?
Or email them, just say, hey, I'm checking in on climate. So lots going on. I'm very proud of the Climate Caucus, and the public backing has made all the difference. One little thing that I've been working on, then we'll let folks go. Food residuals.
Ooh.
Compost.
Yeah.
We have, if you look at Drawdown, you ever looked at this?
Yeah.
This is a summary of 100 of the best strategies to mitigate climate change. In the top 5 has to do with food waste.
Yeah.
And it was surprising. We throw out too much food, and we overproduce in some places. That we have people hungry. I mean, we're not smart in the world.
Right.
Vermont can be very proud of this. We are light years ahead of any of our neighboring states in that we have set up a schedule where we divert food scraps. And big institutions, hospitals, schools, they've been doing that for a while. We have already been diverting roughly about 1/3 of our food residuals out of the landfill.
That's awesome.
And you can use this to build soil, which is something else we need to do. So my committee, I'm on Senate Ag, we've been looking at a narrow thing where there are farmers in Vermont who raise chickens, hens, laying hens, feeding them compost. Or I shouldn't say that, feeding them food residuals. And chickens they're kind of amazing. I've come to learn.
Omnivores.
They have very precise beaks, and they go ooh, I want that seed off of that bagel. And they, anyway, they end up producing a very high quality of egg very cheaply.
Yeah.
So,
That's a
but
win-win.
it's been tricky because we regulate the state. You might remember the Intervale many years ago. My neighborhood had a big compost pile that had problems. It's right near a floodplain. It was not good.
Yeah.
So the Agency of Natural Resources regulates any compost project. And these farmers are saying, yeah, but this is like a small operation on my farm, and my chickens need this. So we've been trying to figure out how to not sort of have gangbusters where everybody has a massive compost operation, but allow some of this. And I've also been pushing for kind of a diversified activity for farmers, even without chickens, in a small scale, because we're about to have July 1 requiring that no food residuals go to the landfill. Yeah. So we need a lot of facilities, and farmers could take some, build a little soil, use it on their own. You know, soil mitigates flood concerns. It stores carbon. It's a win-win-win. So anyway, that bill is moving. I think Senate Ag may even vote on today or read as soon as we get back from break.
That's great.
And, you know, A&R is not quick to let go of their oversight, but we've sort of said, yeah, it's a very small slice. You know, let's
ease up a little bit.
Yeah, you know, it's all rest and mash around here for these kinds of things.
We must regulate.
Yeah.
Well, good work on that.
Well, thanks. It's been quite fascinating, actually. There's really committed people who are, you know, way out in front of a lot of states are watching what we're doing on this stuff because we have been ahead of the game. And of course, Vermonters have been composting in the backyard for a long time. So sort of just that tradition fits well.
Makes a lot of sense. So we're going to sign off. You won't see us next week unless Bob tracks us down. You never know where he might show up with a camera. So thanks for tuning in. Thank you for reaching out to your senators and representatives, thanking them if they supported global warming solutions as it came through the House. 105 votes. That was really fantastic. And really urging them to continue supporting passage of this climate agenda. Everything's in play and on the move. We just need to keep a little push.
Thanks to Bob.
Thank you,
Thanks
Bob.
to you, Sarah.
Nicely done.
See you soon.
Keep this up.
Bye.
That'll work.
Good. We want to go get breakfast.
So now you have time. I was just going to say, now you have time for coffee and breakfast. I go nowhere without my 802 coffee. Just a little plug there for Capitol Grounds. Oh, 2 plugs for Capitol Grounds.
Anyway, we're going to let you go. Thank you, Bob.